Mr. Patel, before you joined the FBI, you had very strong opinions about what the FBI was hiding regarding Jeffrey Epstein. In a September 2023 interview with Glenn Beck, you said the Black Book is under the, quote, direct control of the director of the FBI. In December 2023, you said, let us know who the pedophiles are. Even for a short time after becoming FBI director, in February of 2025, you tweeted, quote, there will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, no stone left unturned. In June, you told Joe Rogan, quote, we've reviewed all the information, we're gonna give you every single thing we have and can. But then suddenly in July, everything changed.
Kash Patel is the FBI director of the United States. The man who promised the nation there would be no cover-ups in the Epstein case. He said it on Glenn Beck. He said it on Joe Rogan. He tweeted it. And then he buried the files the moment Donald Trump's name showed up in them. What you are about to watch is a congressional hearing where Republicans and Democrats stopped pretending and started demanding answers. And Patel had none. If this is the kind of accountability you want to see in your feed, hit subscribe and drop a like, because they do not want this going viral. Watch what happened.
I think what happened, Mr. Patel, is that suddenly you discovered that Donald Trump's name was all over these files, and you started a giant cover-up. So you are under oath, Mr. Patel. You just testified to Mr. Swalwell that you did not speak to the president about the Epstein files. To your knowledge, did Attorney General Pam Bondi speak to the president about what was in the Epstein files?
I can't speak for Attorney General Pam Bondi.
So to your knowledge, you don't have any information. The question was, do you have any knowledge? Do you have any knowledge?
I can't speak.
You are refusing to answer the question. So let me tell you that the Wall Street Journal reported that in May, Bondi told Trump that he was in the Epstein files, and at the same meeting said that the DOJ did not plan to release the files. Yesterday, you testified to Senator Kennedy that there was, quote, no credible information that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone else, and that you have, quote, continuously and publicly asked the public to come forward with more information, and we'll look into it. Today, in response to Mr. Massie's question, you appeared to say that the survivors were not credible. These are survivors.
That's not at all what I said.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask you this in a second, but let me tell you about the survivors, and let's bring them up here into the room. These are women who came to the Hill and testified that they were groomed and raped at the age of 14 and 16 years old, and they called to meet with the president and to meet with the FBI and to have people investigate their claims. Some of them have never testified before. If you are so interested in getting the public to submit any information, why have you not met with them? You said you haven't met with them. Have you met with them? I'll give you one more chance.
My job as the FBI director is to invite all investigative leads.
Is the answer yes or no to whether or not you met with these women who were sexually abused and raped?
Any insinuation by you or any people on your side that I am not manhunting child predators and sex traffickers, just look at the stats. And you talk about cover-ups, man.
Mr. Chairman,
you talk about cover-ups.
And I will take as much time as
Where were you during the Obama and Biden administrations when these so-called cover-ups were going on? Why did anyone in those administrations talk to any of these purported witnesses? I have welcomed every single person to provide credible information.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Washington.
And I'm going to take another couple of minutes.
When you accuse the witness of something, he's allowed to respond. That's how it works.
Listen, he didn't even, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, you have always been fair. But this is not fair. No, this is my time, and he said that the witnesses were not credible.
Seconds of time.
I'm going to get an additional minute of time because that's how much time he took.
You won't get a minute. You'll get some seconds. What we think is under 5 minutes. You don't get to demand how much time you get. That's not how it works.
Mr. Patel, are the victims of the Jeffrey Epstein horrific trafficking ring, are they credible?
Any person with information about ongoing sexual trafficking.
I'm asking you if they're credible.
Ma'am, I'm commenting on the evidence we have. But we have routinely asked for people to come forward with more evidence, and we will look at it. And the evidence that we have was the same evidence that the Biden and Obama Justice Departments had. And they determined, not me, they determined that that information was not credible.
What you just watched was not a normal hearing. That was an FBI director under oath, refusing 4 separate times to answer whether he told his boss that the President of the United States was documented in the Epstein files. Raskin handed him every exit. He could have said yes. He could have said the question was beyond his knowledge. He chose a third option, run the clock and blame Obama. That is not a defense. That is a confession of evasion. Note what Patel actually said when Raskin asked him directly whether the Epstein victims were credible. He did not say yes. He pointed to Biden. He pointed to Obama. He talked about stats. He talked about California. He talked about anything on earth except the women sitting in that hearing room who were trafficked at 14 and 16 years old and have never received a single phone call from the FBI director, who promised them no stone would be left unturned. And here is the line that does not get quoted enough. Raskin told him the Wall Street Journal reported that Bondi walked into the Oval Office in May, told Trump his name was in the Epstein files, and left that same meeting with a decision. No further disclosure. Patel's response to that documented chain of events was 4 words, "I can't speak for." And then silence dressed up as procedure. And this is not the first time. Watch what happened when another member tried the same question from a different angle.
Director Patel, you and I have not had the opportunity to meet, and alas, you failed to respond to the 8 oversight letters I've sent you over the last 7 months. So we do have a lot of questions piling up for you, but I want to start with a word of praise. The first FBI director was J. Edgar Hoover, who steadfastly refused to hire women, African Americans, and other minorities as agents. And although he was a closeted homosexual who lived in domestic partnership for decades with Clyde Tolson, he also participated in anti-gay crusades. He aggressively promoted what we would today call white Christian nationalism. And he would undoubtedly be turning over in his grave to see as one of his successors a first-generation Indian American and a proud Hindu. So I congratulate you on being a breakthrough in this sense and being a beneficiary of the civil rights movement that opened up the FBI and the federal workforce to lots of people who never would have been hired in its first decades. Alas, you share J. Edgar Hoover's dangerous obsession with blind loyalty over professionalism and effective public policy. For Hoover, it was blind loyalty to him in keeping his secrets. For you, it's blind loyalty to Donald Trump in keeping his secrets. During your confirmation, it was widely noted on all sides that your primary qualification was your unwavering loyalty to Trump. Unlike other directors, you had no work experience at the FBI, but you had made over 1,000 media and political appearances in support of Trump's campaign. Your Senate confirmation vote was 51-49, the closest in history, with your opponents warning you were not qualified and had no interest in actually developing the qualifications for the job. I hoped that they were wrong. Alas, they were not. While most other new FBI directors drew on their experience as FBI agents, you didn't have that. But you did write a picture book trilogy for children ages 5 and up based on your experience clashing with President Trump's political enemies. In your book, you describe your literary alter ego, Kash the Knight, as a wacky, easily bored wizard carrying out King Donald's vengeance by driving his enemies out of the kingdom. In the books, King Donald is besieged by the evil Hillary Queentown, but saved in the end by Kash. Then Kash goes on to catch mules who are stealing the 2020 election for the great King Donald from Sleepy Joe. And then in the third book, Kash takes down the Dragon of the Jalapenos, nicknamed the DOJ. Your supporters had hoped that you would graduate from imagining yourself a romantic fairy tale knight to actually running America's premier federal law enforcement agency. Alas, just as we've learned how dangerous it is to put a science-denying anti-vaxxer in charge of our public health, We've learned how dangerous it is to name as director of the FBI a man who thinks of himself as a fairy tale knight who keeps a fire-breathing dragon named DOJ at home to forcibly drive villains out of the kingdom.
Question has been asked and answered. That is what Kash Patel said after being asked the same direct yes or no question 5 times without providing a yes or a no. That phrase, question has been asked and answered, is what powerful men say when they have decided that the law does not apply to them, when they have decided that the hearing room is a performance and the oath is a formality. So let the record reflect what actually happened here. In 2023, Kash Patel said the Black Book was under the direct control of the FBI director and demanded the names be released. In February 2025, days into his own directorship, he tweeted that there would be no cover-ups, no missing documents, no stone left unturned. In June 2025, he told Joe Rogan every single thing would be released. In July 2025, he and Pam Bondi issued a memo declaring no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. 300 gigabytes of evidence. Sealed. Done. What changed between June and July? The Wall Street Journal reported the answer. Bondi walked into the Oval Office. Bondi told Trump his name was in the files, and the files were buried. This is the documented pattern of this administration. It is not a theory. It is a timeline. Patel purged the FBI of agents who worked January 6th cases, not because they broke the law, but because they did their jobs. He fired Brian Driscoll, a decorated counterterrorism expert with 20 years at the Bureau, and told him the removals were about agents who worked on cases against the president, regardless of whether they chose to. He diverted thousands of agents away from sex trafficking, drug enforcement, and violent crime to run immigration sweeps. He forced senior leadership to take loyalty polygraphs, in the FBI. Raskin made the comparison explicit, and it lands. J. Edgar Hoover demanded loyalty to himself. Patel demands loyalty to Trump. Same architecture, different monarch. There is a word for a federal law enforcement agency that redirects its resources based on what is politically convenient for the president who appointed its director. That word is not law enforcement. That word is apparatus. And here is what nobody is saying loudly enough. The Epstein survivors sat in that hearing room. Women who were trafficked at 14 and 16. They watched the FBI director blame Obama, attack California, and call their abuse a political football. And never once say yes, they are credible. Question has been asked and answered. No, it is not.
Director, the first time you saw Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files. Did you close the files or keep reading?
I have reviewed not the entirety of the files, so
you haven't reviewed all of the Epstein files?
Personally, no.
You're the director of the FBI. This is the largest sex trafficking case the FBI has ever been a part of. Buck stops at the top, and your testimony today is you have not reviewed all the files.
What I've been doing is been busy providing the safest country this country has seen in modern U.S. history in historic speed, because the men and women of the FBI are given the resources to reduce the homicide rate, to reduce the drug trafficking rate, to reduce the amount of children that are being trafficked and the number of pedophiles.
It sounds like those children being trafficked would appreciate the director reviewing the files. You said you don't know the number of times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not released anyone's name in the Epstein files that has not been credible.
Director, could it at least be 1,000 times?
We have released every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
you can characterize the numbers however you want it.
You're claiming my time, Director. It sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times.
It's not. It's not.
Is it at least 500 times?
No.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know the number, but it's not that.
Do you think it might be your job to know the number?
My job is to provide for the safety and security of this country. My job is not to engage in political innuendo so you can go out to the sticks and get your 20-second hit in your fundraising article. They keep going, reclaiming your time, because the people of California are being underserved by your representation.
If the president is not implicated, why not release everything that involves him?
We have released everything, the president and anyone else's side, that is credible and lawfully be able to be released. Your fixation on this matter and baseless accusations that I'm hiding child pedophiles is disgusting. Anyone that says that needs to look at the stats alone and go back to the state of California, who's receiving the biggest surge in FBI resources through my redeployment because the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco need it.
Director, remembering your oath to tell the truth, did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Did you ever tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The Attorney General and I have had numerous discussions about the entirety of the Epstein files and the reviews conducted by our team.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
And we have released where President Trump's name is in the Attorney's files. It's a simple question.
Did you tell the Attorney General that the President's name is in the Epstein files?
During many conversations that the Attorney General and I have had on the matter of Epstein, we have reviewed.
The question is simple.
Who
did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out?
Yes
if you're gonna mock
or no, Director?
Use the alphabet.
Yes or no?
No? A, B, C,
Director,
D, E, F?
it sounds like you don't want to tell us. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files?
Why don't you try serving your constituency by focusing on reducing violent crime in this country and the number of pedophiles that are legally harbored in your sanctuary cities in California? I'll work with you on that.
Regular order, Mr. Chairman.
I belong to the gentleman from California.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The question has been asked and answered.
You've not answered it, and we will take your evasiveness as a consciousness of guilt.
Cash the Knight. That is not a joke. That is the self-image of the man running America's premier federal law enforcement agency, a character in a children's book who carries out the king's vengeance and drives enemies out of the kingdom. Raskin did not reach for that metaphor. Patel wrote it himself, and that is the part that should terrify everyone watching this. Because the children's books are not the aberration. The children's books are the blueprint. Patel told the whole story before he ever took the oath. He told it on Glenn Beck. He told it to Joe Rogan. He wrote it for 5-year-olds. The king rewards loyalty. The dragon, the DOJ, gets slain. The enemies get expelled. The files get buried. The survivors get nothing. Here is the forecast. Trump will not protect Kash Patel. Every loyalist this administration has ever burned, Flynn, Barr, Sessions, Esper, Milley, got discarded the moment they became inconvenient or the moment the exposure outweighed the utility. Patel is now the face of the Epstein cover-up. He is the name on the memo. He is the one who refused, under oath, to answer a yes or no question 5 consecutive times. When this gets worse, and it will get worse, Trump will not stand next to him. Trump never does. The question has been asked. It has never been answered. And the women who were trafficked at 14 and 16 years old are still waiting. Drop a comment and tell me, does accountability still exist in this country, or did it get redacted along with everything else?